Calling to order the Monday, October 8th, 2018 regular meeting of the 37th Council of the City of Berkeley. Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Baker. Councilmember Blanchard.
Here.
Councilmember Dean.
Here.
Councilmember Gavin.
Here.
Councilmember Hennon.
Here.
Councilmember Stedman.
Here.
And Mayor Turbrack.
Here. Our first order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
It's moved by Councilmember Gavin with support from Councilmember Dean. Any additions, corrections, changes?
No.
Seeing none, Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Blanchard.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes.
Hennon.
Yes.
Stedman.
Yes.
And Turbrack.
Yes. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge. With us today is Pastor Matt Bruner.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you and thank you for this wonderful fall that you've given us so far, and we thank you for all the blessings you've shown us, and thank you for this city council and our mayor, and we just ask for wisdom for them as they meet tonight, and we pray for our city, continue to guide us and provide for our city and keep us prosperous. And thank you for our school system, and just continue to watch over the students as they go to school every day and continue to learn and prepare to be the future of our great nation. And Father, we pray for the upcoming elections and the upcoming items on the ballots, and that you would just provide for us in those things and help us to go the correct direction as a city and as a nation. And we thank you for the blessings you've given us, and we just ask that you would guide us tonight and guide us the rest of this year as we move forward. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, up next is citizens' comments, where you may present your thoughts on issues not included on tonight's agenda. Council members will not engage you in discussion, but if your concern needs to be addressed by a member of city staff or department of the city, please sign your name on the sheet provided at the clerk's table. You may speak on a specific agenda item while it is being considered, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and city of residence.
Hi, Mark Casey, 2701 Columbia. I don't know what department sent me the postcard that informed me that the business at the corner of my street has a non-conforming sign that I understood would be tonight was the meeting about that. I don't see it on the agenda.
The ZBA meeting, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Oh.
Go ahead. Yep.
Sorry, no,
Go
I
ahead.
defer.
Go ahead.
That's right, the ZBA meeting is being held in the Public Safety Conference Room, second floor across the parking lot. That's where it's going to be
That's where you want to be.
I apologize. But while I have the floor, I love my government in Berkeley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, that was pulled from the agenda.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Oh,
I talked to the city earlier this week. It was pulled from the agenda.
Sorry about that.
Good evening, Matt Church from the library. I have two library announcements. On Thursday, October 11th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., we'll be having a celebration in honor of the library's 90th anniversary. So the Friends have been working to put together a fun evening. We'll have live music, balloon artists, cake, cookies, coffee, photos from the museum, nice history board, so should be a fun evening. And then secondly, the Friends of the Library have their book sale coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so October 18th, 19th, and 20th. The details, dates, and everything are listed on the website. All of the proceeds from that benefit the library and the things that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Going once, twice. Sold. Seeing nobody else coming to the microphone, we will close citizens' comments for tonight, and we will move on to our order of business. Ms. Boucher, would you please read the items on tonight's consent agenda?
Approval of the minutes. Matter of approving the minutes of the 37th City Council meeting on Monday, September 17, 2018. Ordinance number 01218. Matter considering the second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 106 Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Places, Section 106 through 221, and Section 106-222, the City of Berkeley Code of Ordinance. Full copy of this ordinance is posted for 10 days at the Berkeley City Hall, Library, and Community Center. Ordinance number 01318, matter considering the second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 90, Planning, Article 2, Planning Commission, Section 90-17 of the City of Berkeley Code of Ordinances to modify and update Planning Commission appointment and qualifications requirements in accordance with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act 2008 PA 33 as amended. Full copy of this ordinance is posted for 10 days at the Berkeley City Hall, Library, and Community Center. Resolution number R3118, matter of recognizing donors from area businesses and organizations in support of the summer reading program to the Berkeley Public Library.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Support.
Support from Councilmember Dean with support from Councilmember Stedman. Any corrections or additions? Seeing none, Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. The consent agenda has been approved. Now move on to our regular agenda. Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number 1 on our regular agenda?
Recognitions, presentations, matter of any recognitions or presentations from the consent agenda.
I've asked Councilmember Stedman to read Resolution R3118.
This is a resolution of the Council of the City of Berkeley, Michigan, recognizing donors from area businesses and organizations in support of the summer reading program to the Berkeley Public Library. Whereas the City of Berkeley, Berkeley Public Library, has received donations from area businesses and organizations for the summer reading program at the library, and whereas the Friends of the Berkeley Public Library and Vibe Credit Union served as primary sponsors by donating funds for programs, prizes, and related expenses. And Berkeley Frosty Freeze, Chisano Coffee Roasters, Clark's Ice Cream, Cocoa Fairfields, Cultured Cook, Distinctive Framing, Durst Lumber, Dynasty Flowers, House of Yoga, Hungry Howie's Pizza, Camps Express, Nova Chiropractic, Pampered Chef Diane Bruce, Recipe Kit Warehouse, Royal Popcorn Supply, Some Girls Boutique, Taco Bell, Tootie and Tallulah's, Twice Around Antiques, and Westbourne Market served as prize sponsors by donating gift certificates or items. And now therefore the City of Berkeley resolves, Section 1, that the Council of the City of Berkeley accept these generous donations, and Section 2, the donations provided were utilized to support the summer reading program of the Berkeley Public Library. And Section 3, the Berkeley Public Library and City Council are grateful to the Friends of the Berkeley Public Library and Vibe Credit Union as primary sponsors and the 20 other businesses that helped make the summer reading program possible. Introduced and passed at a regular City Council meeting on Monday, October 8th. Signed by Daniel J. Turbrack, Mayor. Thank you to everybody.
Certainly, yes. We would not have had the success without the support of all the local businesses that Councilmember Stedman just mentioned. I know that our library director is probably very happy with their support as well. We have very successful programs, and a part of that is the support that we have from our business community. So we certainly thank all of them. for their support and donations. With that, Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number 2 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M7018, matter of authorizing the Knights of Columbus, 2299 West 12 Mile Road, Berkley, Michigan, to conduct a Tootsie Roll Drive in the city of Berkeley from Friday, October 12th through Saturday, October 13th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Is there a motion to approve M7018?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Councilmember Hennan with support from Councilmember Blanchard. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Knights of Columbus now hold this event about twice a year. And both times, in all years past, they've done a tremendous job remaining safe. They wear high-vis colors and vests. They've discussed their event this year with public safety. Public safety's reviewed the application, sees no issues with it. I just want to point out that if approved, they would be at 11 Mile and Coolidge and 12 Mile and Coolidge. I have no other items for you.
Questions?
Quick question. Thank you, Your Honor. Do they understand the restrictions at Level Mile and Coolidge that they can only be on our side?
Yes, sir. They've been respectful of that.
Okay.
We do have a representative here with us tonight.
I'm Terry Mack, 4166 Royal. I'm the warden for the Knights of Columbus. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, we're not doing the 11 Mile and Coolidge, just the 12 Mile and Coolidge.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Additional questions, comments? Good. Okay. Thank you for being here tonight. I know I talked with Randy, and he said that you were going to be here, so we appreciate you coming to field any potential questions that we may have. Thank
All
you,
right,
Terry.
thank you.
Seeing no further questions, Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll on M7018?
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number 3 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M7118, matter of authorizing the Cub Scout Pack, 1082, 2839 Tyler Avenue, Berkeley, Michigan, to conduct a Cub Scout popcorn sales in the city of Berkeley on Saturday, October 20th, Sunday, October 21st, and Sunday, October 28th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Is there a motion to approve M7118?
Motion to approve.
Support. Motion approved by Councilmember Stedman with support from Councilmember Gavin. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a local pack of Cub Scouts. We're going to be going door to door to actually sell popcorn in what they call the Angel Elementary neighborhood, which is bounded by Greenfield, 12 Mile, Coolidge, and 11. And so on those days, they'll be coming up, knocking on your door. They do take, as they indicated in the application, cash or credit. The pack leader has reached out and discussed what they want to do with public safety, and after the two entities talking to each other, public safety doesn't see any issue or potential issue with this. The only real thing to be aware of is just kind of they're going to be a pack out there. They're going to be around the neighborhood. Just kind of keep a heads up. So other than that, there's no issues, and public safety recommends approval.
Okay. Questions? Comments? Are there any representatives here? Perfect.
Hi,
Thank
I'm
you for
Michelle
being here
Vickerla.
as well.
Oh, a pleasure. It's my first one. So I'm Michelle Vickerla, 2839 Tyler, and I'm the committee chair of the Cub Scout Pack 1082.
Anything you would like to add to what we've already discussed?
No, I think you
Good.
covered it well.
Okay.
Sounded pretty good to me.
All right.
I do have one question. Will you be coming to businesses as well?
No, we will not. So if you'd like us to, I can send some kids over.
I mean, I would like to support these things, so, yeah, I mean, either, or I can find you in
Okay.
that boundary.
So our idea was to have our students are mostly, or our kids, I'm a teacher, I keep calling them students. Our kids mostly live in the Angel neighborhood, so we thought they would go where they're most comfortable
Sure.
with their parents and groups. So I don't want a lot of 5- and 6-year-olds running up and down 12 Mile Road or Coolidge. So we probably will not go to business.
Okay, I understand.
Thank you, though.
Additional questions? All right, well, again, thank you, Michelle, for being here to answer any questions that we may have. And with that, Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Hennan,
Yes.
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number 4 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M7218, matter of approving the 2018-2019 winter maintenance agreement between the Road Commission for Oakland County and the City of Berkeley. The city will be reimbursed a total of $10,631.81, which will be paid in 2 installments, 50%, $5,315.90 due in December 2018, and 50%, $5,315.91 due in March of 2019.
Is there a motion to approve M7218?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilmember Dean with support from Councilmember Blanchard. Mr. Baumgart?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're actually joined by our Public Works Director, Derek Schuler, who is here with us. As you know, this is an annual item. The amount indicated in the motion is actually a 2% increase over years previous. And Derek had a very good memo included in your packet with some of the justifications as to why this is a mutually beneficial relationship.
Thank you. So not much new here to report. This is the annual item that we bring forward for winter maintenance on 12 Mile. Again, for plowing, salting activities, we believe as a city that we can provide a higher level of service than what the Road Commission could provide us. So in return, we do get some funds for that work. It doesn't cover all of our costs, but it certainly helps. And so not much else has really changed, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Councilmember Gavin?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a quick one. So the payment by the county is a set amount. So that way, I guess what I'm getting at is that if there's a higher than anticipated snowfall, it's not like we'd be getting reimbursed more on top of that.
That is correct.
Okay.
It is a set amount. They make some assumptions, and we go from there, but you're correct.
All right.
And conversely, if it's a lighter winter, it's the same amount as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Hennan?
Yeah, if we didn't take this over on our own, how often would they be, taking care of the service compared to, how we can take care of it better ourselves?
I think it's a timing issue, really. We jump on those roads a lot quicker than what the county would do. I don't know that it would be any different total number of times per se, but I think we'd be waiting on them to get there, kind of a thing. So we traditionally like to handle the higher volume roads first for obvious reasons, school routes, those sort of things. So to wait on that would be an inconvenience for all of us, I think. So, but I think it's more of a timing issue as opposed to number of times.
Thank you.
I think you're off the hook, Derek.
All right.
Seeing no additional questions or comments, again, as Director mentioned, this is something that we do every year, and I think if we didn't do it, as Derek mentioned, especially just now, the timing would be the biggest difference. We see that in other communities. We are very well known for how quickly and how responsibly our DPW removes and salts the roads to keep safe for all of our residents, and that's something that we are not willing to compromise. So thank you, Derek. Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number 5 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M7318, matter of leasing a new folder inserter machine from Pitney Bowes Incorporated at a monthly rate of $308.24 for a period of 60 months from Office Equipment Rental Account number 592-536-946-000.
Is there a motion to approve M7318?
Motion to
approve.
Support.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Blanchard with support from Councilmember Stedman. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is replacing an existing piece of equipment that we depend heavily upon. This is the item that folds all of our city correspondence, it folds all of our water bills. And so we are recommending a lease this time, which Stan and Derek worked together on pricing out the lease versus own options. And Stan was able to, through the National Association of State Procurement Officers, able to find an advantageous lease that takes into account the amount of wear and tear we put on this machine, and I think responds favorably and gives us a better option. So we're recommending this item before you this evening.
Anything to add?
Thank you. Thank you, Matt, for that summary. So we are up for our lease on our existing machine this month, so it was time to relook at things, which I think is a good idea. And we do believe the lease option is our best option because after 5 years, in addition to the machine wear and tear of the thousands and thousands of copies or folding that this thing does, I think it's important to look at also what our needs are. And in 5 years, we may have different needs as it relate to a folding machine. The technology of these machines changes as well. They're highly mechanical, and 5 years, we need to start looking at other options, both other companies as well as other models to fit our needs. Maybe at that point, we'll be doing more electronic email type work that we won't need as robust of a machine. So I think it's just important to look at that every few years. So it was time. Stan did a fabulous job helping us out, looking at pricing and finding the best option for us. And the Pitney Bowes machine is going to be even a little bit less than what we're currently paying. So we've been happy with the level of service. We've been happy with that machine. So we're recommending moving forward with this one at this time through the collaborative bid.
Excellent. Questions or comments for Director?
This machine also, I'm sorry, Mayor, it also is used by other departments as well, and some of the flyers, the residential flyers that we put out. So it's used for more than just utility billing. It gets used for really a lot of our folding needs at the city. So other departments utilize it as well.
Excellent. After that clarification, any questions, comments? I feel like our folding needs are in good hands.
Thank you.
Moving forward, I'm sure Mayor Pro Tem would have had a real nice
Oh, pun, for sure.
dad pun for that, but I'm just going to let it go, and we're going to move on. Seeing no further questions or comments, Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Blanchard.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes.
Hennan.
Yes.
Stedman.
Yes.
And Turbrack.
Yes. Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number 6 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M7418, matter of considering a memorandum of understanding with EcoWorks for energy consultation services.
Is there a motion to approve M7418?
Motion
So
to
moved.
approve.
Motion approved by Councilmember Dean, support from Councilmember Gavin. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to credit Councilmember Gavin for initially forwarding the contact information for EcoWorks over to my office. We were able to sit down and have a conference calls with Mr. Henrik Mader, right? Mader? Henrik Mader, who is joining us this evening representing EcoWorks. Essentially what we want to do is look at ways for being not only good stewards of the environment by lowering our energy consumption, but also lowering our operational costs as well. And Mr. Mader has provided is going to do a presentation this evening on this program and support some of the items that were included in the memo that you have in front of you, as well as some of the questions you may have concerning the memorandum of understanding itself. So I will introduce Mr. Mader, and who can talk a little bit about EcoWorks, and we get this set up. So you want to introduce the organization first?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some materials here.
There we go. Here it comes. Yep.
Wake up.
I can back here. See? Oh, yeah.
All right, great. All right, thank you so much for having me. Good evening. Again, my name is Henrik Mader. I am an energy analyst with EcoWorks in our Strategic Community Initiatives team. I'm here to talk about a program we're offering called Municipal Energy Planning tonight. So looking forward to sharing a little bit about that. For those of us who are not familiar with EcoWorks as an organization,
Mic up again.
yes, is that better?
Yeah.
Great.
You
Sorry
don't
about
have to
that.
bend down.
It happens to me quite a bit.
Not me.
So EcoWorks is a Detroit-based nonprofit working at the intersection of environmental sustainability and community development. We were founded in 1981, and since that time we have served over 50,000 people through our residential education programs, maintained partnerships with 37 governments, 300 businesses. We support 200 green jobs and have generated over $30 million in energy savings for various project partners throughout that time. So now moving to the Municipal Energy Planning Program that we're here to discuss. This program basically provides a no-cost energy plan for the city, and that covers municipal operations only, not transportation fleets or anything of that nature, but any type of municipal facility would be included in this. So we're supported by the CS Mott Foundation, so we're able to provide these services at no cost to the city. All our work is covered through that grant program. So the program is basically divided into two phases. The first phase, covering 2 years, which began in late 2016. Basically, we focused on developing the energy plans for our municipal partners in this area. We've worked with a number of communities along the Woodward Corridor, as well as, ranging broader, partner with River Rouge, for example. So moving into year 3, which we're currently transitioning from that first phase into the next phase, we'll be providing assistance with project implementation and supporting policy development, depending on what was identified through that planning project. So we approach our energy planning with a community energy management planning framework. And I know that's quite a word salad, but basically what we mean by that is looking at energy holistically as opposed to just going piecemeal and doing maybe an LED conversion in one building and really trying to tie everything together into one comprehensive management plan. So we work with a lot of municipalities in the region, and many people have very comprehensive and admirable, sustainability goals and energy goals. But we found that many municipalities lack the staff capacity or technical knowledge to really drive progress forward. So we're trying to provide help driving some of these goals forward. And some of the obstacles that come up fairly frequently in our work is prioritizing energy projects. That's generally unclear. Who should do the work and what technology should be used. And finally, the biggest one is financing. So we've found that that's a major hurdle for doing significant energy projects. And through this plan, we would be providing, basically a menu of options on how to finance energy projects as well. So we approach our energy planning work trying to basically identify opportunities responsive to local priorities that are in existence and that are identified through this planning process. So we focus on, financing energy, environmental targets, and certainly economic and community development. And this kind of speaks to that comprehensive, holistic approach rather than just saying, one LED project, you'll get a 5% return on one building. We really see this as a community development tool as well. And we certainly strive to institutionalize our energy management planning work. We find this building that policy structure really helps to get those results that may be laid out in a municipal plan. So this shows a screenshot of an outline of a plan that we've currently developed for the city of Huntington Woods. You can see there. So the main highlights here, the summary of accomplishments, so that provides a benchmark of what's been done in the city. We found a lot of our partners don't have that list and don't really know where they're at with energy management. So that's certainly typically a helpful solution. And then we provide a summary of recommendations in 6 categories. So this goes everywhere from project selection to funding, staffing, data management, communication. We try to look at every aspect of energy in the city. And finally, the action plan. So this, we've designed this for integration with other planning efforts. And as I understand it, the city of Berkley is just undergoing a master plan review at the moment. So, I think personally it seems like a great opportunity to use this to leverage some existing priorities into some tangible energy goals. And this just shows a screenshot of an example of an action plan that is designed to be streamlined into these larger plans. So next steps. So the MOU would be the formal participation signal for this. Then we'd schedule a kickoff meeting with the point of contact that's identified as the liaison for the community. And through that, we'd gather, baseline information and start developing this goal and outlining priorities. And I wanted to just mention a benchmarking workshop that we're hosting next Thursday. So this will provide some practical training on benchmarking bills, and we'll have some guest speakers as well. So anyone interested is more than welcome to attend. So any questions, feel free to email me. Here's my contact info, and I'll address any comments or questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments and questions? Comments or questions?
Thank you, Your
Councilman
Honor. A big thank you, obviously, to Henrik, to EcoWorks, CS Mott, for helping with funding available to do these kind of energy usage improvement and efficiencies. And, of course, thank you to the city manager for helping get things here tonight and moving it forward. As it's kind of been indicated a little bit by the city manager and also by you, Henrik, I do think it is a perfect time to kind of analyze the energy usage as it's relating to municipal buildings and how to formulate a plan to increase those efficiencies right now, in no small part because of the continued work on, or what will be work on the master plan kind of going forward. And so I think this is a real good chance to kind of take a look to some degree at one facet of what our carbon footprint is, how we can dovetail that into a sustainability plan going forward. And certainly the no cost will help the city's bottom line, as we talked about, and it's a good step to doing in my view, our city's part to help the environment. So thank you very much, and look forward to this. So thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Councilmember Steadman?
Just a question, under what's required, a good faith commitment to invest at least $5,000 in a clean energy project before the end of 2018, which is in 2 months?
Yes, so that, I did review the language, so I believe that's on our informational one-pager, and on the MOU itself, I believe it says by the end of the program terms, so
Okay.
that would, give some flexibility. We're not going to hold that.
Okay.
But thank you.
And
Councilmember Blanchard, was that?
Same question as the timeline for.
And if I may, we have some projects that already slated for this budget year that need to be completed that would fall in line with the energy efficiency.
Yes, but we don't have anything, we could probably get ready by the end of the calendar year, but
Right,
by the
right,
end of the
right.
budget year, yes.
Yes, sir. Yep. And say we're already have a couple of projects that we'd like to endeavor to complete that would I think go to credit to this.
Councilmember Hennon?
Yes, thank you. The Environmental Committee, they didn't have an opportunity to review this ahead of time, but I did reach out to each of them individually for their feedback and got, a little bit of things back. Those that have worked with EcoWorks in the past were really excited and, think that we're going to have a good experience with this. One suggestion by the chair, Mr. Richardson, was that we also appoint a liaison from the Environmental Committee because they've done a lot of the legwork already that are the sort of the inputs into this process. And, I agree with him. I think it would, help to smooth things out and, just be a good way forward. The only thing we need is to get some details on the time commitment sort of thing so that when they pick whoever their liaison would be, that whoever they pick actually has that time available.
Certainly. That makes a lot of sense. Any other questions? Henrik, can you give us an idea of so we've mentioned potential timeline here, what the expectations are, what the next step would be until we get to our benchmarking?
Yes, absolutely. So the benchmarking, this program provides planning, so I just want to make it clear that we certainly provide benchmarking services, but it's not part of this program. But we are offering training to staff who would, then be able to continue that effort forward. We are providing, I believe we can benchmark one facility under the implementation year 3 services. But, it's certainly something we could happy to provide advice on as well. Moving forward. And then in terms of scheduling, I would just determine who the point of contact would be, schedule a kickoff meeting with an energy analyst who would be myself in this case, and then go from there. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Seeing no additional questions, thank you for coming tonight and being part of this. And we look forward to working with all of our, not only our environmental committee, but also our departments here and with the city to streamline things for us.
Great,
Be
looking
much more
forward to it as
efficient.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll on item number 6?
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. Ms. Boucher, would you please read the next item on tonight's agenda, number 7?
Motion number M7518, matter of casting Berkeley's official vote for Board of Directors for the MML liability and property pool, directing the city clerk to send in the marked ballot.
Is there a motion to approve M7518?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Approved by Councilmember Stedman with support Councilmember Blanchard. Mr. Baumgart?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The slate placed in front of you for the MML liability and property pool includes the 2 incumbents that have agreed to continue their service to that board. As you know, the MML property and liability pool is something that the city of Berkeley participates in, along with many communities across the state. It helps keep our insurance rates as low as possible by pooling out the liability across several different municipalities. I would say the 2 individuals are recommended for reappointment because they've been quite productive on that body. They do have the option of writing in a candidate if we're unhappy with the incumbents. Administration does not, would just recommend to City Council approving the 2 incumbents presented. So their names and bios are included in the packet for you.
Any strong thoughts from council on these candidates or going in a different direction?
I think the pool has done a good job for us. I recommend we continue.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilmember Hennan?
We could always appoint Mayor Pro Tem Baker since he isn't here tonight. But no, I'm fine with these candidates, yes.
He would love that. Anything else? No, the league and the pool have done a very good job. We've been very happy. I don't see a reason to go against their recommendation at this point. Seeing no further discussion, Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll on M7518?
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. All right, we are moving on to communications. Who's up first?
Hennan,
Councilmember Hennan.
Right. Because of the timing of the meetings, the tree board and the environmental committee haven't met since our last time, so I have nothing to report from them. The next environmental advisory board meeting is Thursday, October 25th at 6:30 p.m., second floor of public safety. And the tree board actually is meeting right now, but their next meeting will be on Tuesday, November 13th at 7 p.m. at the library. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gavin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, as we heard already, ZBA is meeting currently across the way. In public safety, the Coolidge Task Force met. I was unable to be there, being out of town, but I know they reviewed some resident feedback on the proposed road diet and discussed consumers looking to replace gas lines along Coolidge. And so the next meeting will be on November 8th. Planning Commission approved site plan approval for the credit union building down at the south end of Coolidge with some lighting and photometrics conditions. And the public participation plan was reviewed again, some tweaks made to and have an extended public hearing for community feedback per the suggestion of the Planning Commission at some point here in the future. And then also discussed creation of the design review board and made suggestions to bring back. So the next meeting will be on October 23rd at 7:30. And then I don't want to dive too deep into it, but the MML conference at the end of September, I personally thought it was incredibly fruitful, gave us a real good chance to network and find out some best practices happening in the other communities. There were certainly some great sessions, including one on master plan updates, so particularly apt, and interaction between planning commissions and councils, and how best we communicate with residents in the city as we kind of move forward with that process. Incorporating urban sustainability, a session on green infrastructure and complete streets, legislative updates, and then how to expand use of GIS in certain public works projects or just even throughout the city. So I thought it was a great conference, and my long-windedness will be ended for tonight, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dean?
So to continue the long-windedness, piggybacking on Councilmember Gavin's comments regarding the MML conference in Grand Rapids, again, I think all of us were energized coming away from it. My favorite workshop was creating sustainable retail spaces, and that was put on by the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. My biggest takeaway from that was flexibility and giving some thought to future builds, repurposing and refurbishing existing buildings, and mixed use, thinking about our needs today and what our needs might be in the future, activating these areas so that there's activity and life and energy there. Recurring themes throughout the conference for me were redevelopment-ready communities, as well as the Main Street program, and I want to commend our Downtown Development Authority under the direction of Vivian Carmody for engaging in these two initiatives. Berkley has begun that process through the DDA, and we're moving right along with those things. I also attended the Michigan Women in Municipal Government meeting, where I had the opportunity to hear Rosalind Bliss speak. She's the first mayor elected in Grand Rapids, which is the second largest city in the state, and she shared her journey in local government and what women can do to make a difference together, and that was very inspiring to me, and I was able to meet other women in local government, almost. The keynote speaker was Bruce Katz, whose book, The New Localism, Utilizing Public, Private, and Civic Partnerships to Become a Change Engine, was the topic of his discussion. Mr. Katz highlighted 3 examples of public-private partnerships, those being Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and Copenhagen, Denmark. And don't worry, I'm not deep diving into those, but I am going to say that all 3 of those places took dire economic situations and turned them around by creative thinking. And I think that it was inspiring because we all have the opportunity to do that. I think we all are coming from a place, we want the best for Berkley, and as was stated earlier, we might have different ideas on how to get there, but I think if we all put our heads together and think creatively about this, who knows where we'll go, and I'm excited for the future. Parks and Rec. Tale on the Trail begins at 6 p.m. on Thursday, October the 25th. Kids and adults are encouraged to come in costume. You'll read a Halloween story as you walk the park and collect candy along the way. Start times will be staggered in 10-minute increments to accommodate the expected high numbers of participants given last year's attendance. The Boo Fest is Monday, October 29th. Tickets for the Boo Fest are now available, and Parks and Rec is again teaming with the Berkley Junior Women's Club to offer this great Halloween party, and the start time for that begins at 5. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Stedman.
Thank you. First of all, for the library, I will repeat what our library director just announced, that the book sale will be October 18th, 19th, and 20th, and October 11th is the public library's 90th birthday, and that's pretty amazing. For any other information, please check the website. There are many, many programs for children, teenagers, adults, any age programs are available. The Beautification Committee meets this Wednesday. It did not meet last month, but this Wednesday they will be discussing the damage done to the bus stop at 12 Mile and Woodward. The Community and Engagement Advisory Committee had met last Wednesday, and they had invited 2 reps from the new technical committee, and most of the time we listened to them. It was very, very interesting to hear everything that they had to say, and so we're going to be sharing information back and forth with those 2 committees. We still need to know how to reach hard to reach people without internet, people who don't want to be reached maybe until something happens that's a problem in their neighborhood or in their house, and then they want to be reached. I mean, we just need to know, if you want to be reached, call Jay or email Jay Grossman at the city offices and give him your email address if you have one, or tell us how we can reach you by phone, by text, or whatever. But thank you very much. Also, at the MML, my favorite meeting there was the one on drones, because I knew nothing about drones. And so it was very interesting to see what they are doing about drones. And one of the things that they can do, you know, as we watch Hart come around with their big cherry pickers, you know, looking at the tops of the trees, is they can examine all the trees in 6 hours.
Wow.
And examine a whole area in 6 hours, rather than taking 2.5 days to examine a smaller area with a cherry picker to find out which trees are dying, because you find out if they're dying from the top. That was just one of the many. You cannot use a camera on a drone to photograph people. And so one of the communities that was there, they said, oh my gosh, we've been breaking the law because we've been photographing all of our events, you know, with a drone with a camera on it. And therefore you're photographing people, but you can't do that unless you apply for a waiver, and that's quite complicated. It takes 90 days. The other piece of information that I thought was really important, I went, I'm not going to talk to you about all the workshops I went. They were very good. But was the one I went to where the one statement that they made, which should hit close to home with us. First of all, there are several reasons why Amazon did not select Wayne County as one of the top 20. The major reason was public transportation or lack thereof. Also, not having the ability to draw people from other communities who would want to give up their life there to set their life here when there's no public transportation. And also the statement that Wayne County is the most segregated area in the entire country, which I wasn't surprised, but then again, I was a little bit surprised. So those are the reasons that we did not make the cut. And that's kind of sad. I think Wayne County and Oakland County, the whole metro area, has to do more to draw people. I can't remember how many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, our population was 10 million in Michigan, and if we kept pace in growth with the rest of the country, we should be at 14 million. So that's kind of a sad state for Michigan. That's all I have tonight.
Councilmember Blanchard.
Thank you, Your Honor. I went to 5 workshops, touched on them briefly at the MML conference. First one was Back to Basics, FOIA, and the Open Meeting Act, just to make sure we were familiarized again with all the requirements and any changes. And I've got about 20 pages of information I'm going to get with the clerk on to make sure we're on track. I think we are. Pretty good shape, but we're going to go over that again just to make sure. The second one was look what we can do with GIS. And they were doing a lot of things with GIS, but we have 2 particular aspects that we're looking at here in the city, and one of them has to deal with police and fire, and that would be using us better to position fire equipment in an emergency by using GIS maps that we can provide to any responding agencies that are coming in from outside our area. We're working on that. I've already talked to our innovation guy, who used to be the IT guy, but now he's the innovation guy, to think about what equipment we need for budgeting, because this is going to be something that's going to take a while to get in place. But if we need equipment, then we'll need to put that in future years' budgets. And the other portion of GIS would be subsurface GIS, which some people are using to locate where fiber optic lines are, gas lines, those sorts of things, more accurately. And that's something I think we're going to be working on a little more in the future also. Another session was infrastructure, natural resources, and the blue economy. That was put on by SEMCOG. Very interesting. Keys to putting ethics in action, which was kind of a question and answer panel. People asked questions, is this ethical? And the panel said no. Or the panel said yes, and people scratched their heads and said, how do we do it? And it was very, very informative. there's a lot of things that you could go on an ethics thing like that for hours, because everybody's got a little bit different question, a little bit different slant on how things are handled. And the last one I went to was, it's budget time, do you know where your revenue is? And that was an interesting one, because they look at high density areas, low density areas, and they actually create a map to see where the revenue comes from, a revenue map. And you see areas where there's no revenue, like parking lots, things like that, and areas where there's revenue coming in, where there's higher density of residential things. So that's something we may look at in the future. I think it's not super beneficial to us because we don't have a lot of areas like that. The example I used was East Lansing, who has a lot of college space that doesn't pay a lot of taxes, doesn't provide a lot of revenue, and then a lot of high density housing that does. So it was helpful to them. I don't think it'd be that much of a help to us, but it's something we may want to look at in the future. So, thank you.
Mr. Baumgarten?
All right, Mr. Mayor. Sticking with the theme, I do want to thank the council for having such a strong presence at the MML conference. They have as all you know, maybe a lot of people at home don't, they rely heavy on breakout sessions. And so having a strong presence up there at the conference, whether it's this one or the last couple, we've managed to fan out, get as much information from that conference as possible. And I think probably we're one of the more efficient users of these conferences because there is such a strategic approach to covering as many of those breakout sessions as possible. So thank you again to the council for being so supportive and being so knowledgeable. It certainly makes administration's job a breeze, so thank you so much. For anybody that was shopping downtown last weekend, probably some days before then, but we're treated to a couple of musical notes. I want to thank the band, the Berkley Band, for providing all sorts of different musical interludes for the shopping experience through their Tag Days program, which, as you recall from last meeting, will continue to go on. So it just makes the downtown Berkeley that much more delightful. Want to mention that thank you also to the public safety for their public safety open house. It ended up being a beautiful day. I know my boys loved running around, getting to see all the fire trucks and the smokehouse and the giant dogs and frogs and get to use the hose, but it was just a success all the way around. So I want to thank public safety for that as well. Speaking of open houses, on October 11th in the Public Safety Conference Room, we're going to have our informational meeting concerning November's ballot questions. That'll be at 6:30 on the second floor there in Public Safety. There's a lot of information going out around social media and Facebook and all sorts of other places. We just want to remind people that we have set up a website, yourberkeleyyourvote.org, to get reliable, factual information. We don't advocate in any form on that site, but if people see something that they may have some doubts or some questions or some head scratches on, certainly yourberkeleyyourvote.org is a reliable source of information. And also feel free to reach out to any of the city departments if you have questions on it as well. I want to make mention that the next meeting will be coming to City Council with our corrective action plan due to the Treasury. As you recall from our Public Act 202 discussions, the city does have to submit a corrective action plan to the Treasury. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. As you know, we've concluded that those benefits about a decade ago. And so we've been utilizing a pay-as-you-go system, and we'll see. Well, we've just got our actuarial studies back, and you'll see that we can realistically continue to do pay-as-you-go and have that debt satisfied within a reasonable amount of time for the state. So more information to come, but while it sounds terrible that we need to submit a corrective action plan, the city's actually in a really strong position for OPEB, far more so than many of our other communities around here. So, and that is thanks to this body and previous administrations who correctly took proactive steps to make sure that liability was as small as possible. And last but not least, you'll notice I'm very pink today. And I've been wearing pink each and every day and will continue to for the entire month of October. As you know, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so I'm a Real Men Wear Pink ambassador. And so each time you'll spot me out and about, whether I'm here in the office or around the community, you'll see I'm always wearing something pink. And that is to hopefully raise awareness for, raise funds for, and finally end the scourge of breast cancer in our country. So, well, in the world, really. And that's through the American Cancer Society. So, like I said, I'll be very pink for the rest of the month. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, just an observation, really a commendation to council. I work with a number of communities, as you know, and I think it's just outstanding how this council participates in the programs that MML puts on. It's really probably the best way to interact and to keep up with the trends and developments and what's going on in the legislature and so on. And I actually find it remarkable that some communities don't have any representation at these conferences, and they're really missing out on a very economical and efficient and effective way to do it. I guess that's probably a good segue. I don't think it came up during any of the council members' comments, but I understand the topic of marijuana did come up at different times during it. We all know that we have the election coming up in November, where the marijuana proposal, I think it's actually the first proposal that's on the ballot, if I've been told correctly. And it's certainly going to affect how things are done in this state if that proposal does pass, as many who purport to be enlightened about such things are forecasting will happen. We are closely following. It seems like the listservs and the committees and so on that I participate in have just been buzzing. Poor
That's legal. That's legal community.
Unintended pun, but appropriate, I suppose.
It's the legal community that you participate in, right?
Yes, the legal community. Everybody is looking at it and trying to be proactive and just to be prepared and preparing for either way that the ballot question should go, and actions that the communities should take. One big difference that I will just mention here between what I'll call the recreational marijuana proposal that's on the ballot and what we have seen previously with medical marijuana and the licensing of medical marijuana facilities is, under the current law regarding medical marijuana facilities, that municipalities are deemed to opt out of that program unless we take some affirmative action to opt in. However, under the new proposal, or the proposal rather that we'll all be voting on in November, it's the exact opposite, that all municipalities will be deemed to have opted in to the program unless we take some action to either fully or partially opt out. So these are things that we will need to consider as a council and as a planning commission, as a city at large, as we move forward. And of course, it's going to directly hinge on the outcome of the vote in November. But we will continue to advise you on that. Also, just want to mention with you, not really get into it tonight, but just a topic that we will be talking with council about in the future, that administratively with Derek Schuler and with Matt Baumgarten, we among other communities are looking very carefully at the new lead and copper rules that have been issued by the state and could have a very major impact on how we go about some of our infrastructure work, particularly with regard to water main construction and repairs. Could have significant impacts on the way we and really all communities go about it. Again, it's a fairly new topic. We're all scrambling around trying to figure out exactly how far-reaching these impacts may be, and we'll be reporting further to council on that. And the last thing I want to comment about tonight, again, other new legal developments, but our Federal Communications Commission, as well as our state legislature, have been very active lately and continue to be active in really limiting our municipal control over small cell and distributive antenna systems that want to locate in our city and really throughout Michigan. It's not just a Berkeley thing, but it would affect our ability to regulate and perhaps even keep them out of our municipal rights of way, could have an impact on what we are able to charge them, keeping in mind that operating a public right-of-way is not a revenue source for us, but rather it's quite the opposite. It's a major expense. We were just talking earlier in this agenda tonight about our winter maintenance agreement just for 12 miles. So what we try to do when we have utilities or providers come in, we like to make sure that they are contributing to the cost of maintaining those rights of way that all our taxpayers have to pay. And this just is looking to me like it's shaping up into another example of erosion of home rule, where we are having the federal and potentially the state legislature taking more of our local control away. And certainly we saw some of the importance of that just last week, when it was my understanding that there was involvement of a telecommunication provider in our gas main issue last week. So not that it would necessarily have been prevented, but to me that just highlights why the municipalities really have to be at the front end of this, and we have to have the ability to review and control and charge appropriate costs and fees to these commercial businesses that do come into our rights of way and do create, there's limited amount of room, and we somehow have to manage all these different things and the technologies and keep it safe and available for everybody. So that's my report this evening.
Thank you. I feel like you've been saving up for the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
I missed the last meeting, so I had to pile on. Sorry about that.
No problem. I have a few items. First, the city manager mentioned the fire safety open house that we had a couple weeks back. And I want to thank Officer Brian Smith in particular, who was operating the smokehouse when my little darlings went in there. And he educated them, and then we went through, stopping, checking to see if the handles were hot and where you go after that, and meeting at your meeting place. Later on that night, we happened to be at my friend's house, whole family there watching football. Something was in the stove. I don't know what it was, probably cookies. Smoke detectors went off, and I want Brian to know that my 6-year-old was outside on the front lawn waiting. Nobody else came out, but one of my 3 kids listened and executed as soon as she heard it. She didn't say anything to us. She was outside on the front. We were trying to find her. She was out there safe.
Good for her.
Yeah, the smoke detectors was not a fire. But I did want to tell him that, so I know the kids listen. It might not always seem like they do, but it does have a tremendous impact on them, and next time, hopefully, my older and younger will also listen as well as my 6-year-old did. We have a town meeting, October 11th, which is Thursday at 6:30 in the Public Safety Building, talking about the millage proposal. If you have questions on the bond proposal, you certainly are also welcome to go there and ask your questions at that time as well. And that leads me into one of the sessions that I went to at the MML. A lot of the other ones have already been mentioned. Social media pitfalls and upsides. Facebook, my very best friend, adds about 500,000 new users every day. 50% of the world's population is under the age of 30. 93% of all buying decisions are influenced by social media. Facebook would be the largest country in the world by population, for a country. And about 60%, actually less than 60%, 57% of people still get their news from TV, about 40% from online. it's the way of the world. I get that. I completely understand that. And we need to be able to leverage social media effectively from the city because it's a tremendous tool for us to be able to get information out to our residents as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Doesn't mean that it's all good. We certainly have seen, especially over the last couple of weeks, the negatives of social media. And it's incredible toxicity. And I wrote about it in my mayor's message this past month. And I don't mean to belabor the point now, but I have a real hard time understanding why it has to be that way, because there's no reason for it to be that way. Because somebody has an opinion that's different from you does not mean that you have to attack them personally. Does not mean that you have to bully them and get your group of friends over here and they have their group of friends. I don't care what side of the issue you're on. This issue, other issues, it always seems to go the same way. And it's not just Berkeley. This is coming down from national level through Lansing. It's everywhere. It's not just a Berkeley issue. I certainly don't have any way to fix it. As I mentioned, I'm as guilty as anybody. I don't post very often on there, but I read it. I lurk. I see what people are saying. The only thing that I ask, I have no, it doesn't bother me what side you vote on any issue or how you feel about any issues. Okay, you are allowed to have your opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their opinion. But just because somebody else has an opinion that's different from you does not necessarily make them wrong, does not necessarily make them a bad person, an evil person, someone who's out to destroy the city, who's out to destroy people. That's not the way it works. We should be able to leverage social media for the incredibly positive media source that it is, to get things out quickly, to inform residents, to engage in discussions. But too many people, although most of them would never admit it, I guarantee you that things that people type on their computer or on their phone, they would not say to people's faces. They simply wouldn't do it. But when you're behind a computer, you feel like, I can say it. And I get it. But all it does is divide the city. Extremely divisive of the city. And regardless of whichever way these ballot issues happen in the city of Berkeley, up or down, we have to still move on as a city, as a community. I can't have people over here, angry at people over here who are neighbors just because they voted separately on an issue. At the end of the day, we all live in the same city. We're going to continue to live in the same city, and we need to figure out a way to be able to coexist and to be able to respect differences in opinions and have good discussion. I don't know when it became such a bad thing to disagree with people. I'm pretty sure that's how our country was founded. I'm pretty sure that's how most of what we have today came from having discussions and differences of opinion, differences of perception. Try not to bully. Try not to create more division in our city. Because at the end of the day, that doesn't help anybody. You might feel better about yourself. You might think you won something. There aren't any winners or losers. They're just a bunch of losers, if this is the case. If we have a city that's divided, nobody's going to win. That's my public service announcement. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna stop. With that, I don't see anything else. I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Councilmember Dean.
Support.
With support from Councilmember Stedman. Ms. Boucher, would you please call the roll?
Hennan,
Yes.
Stedman,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. The October 8th, 2018 meeting of the 37th Council has been adjourned.
It's okay, I should have told you that.